Hey guys, Dr. Josh here. Today I want to talk about why seeking motivation is often one of the least effective strategies when it comes to making tracks, starting tracks, finishing tracks. So if you look on YouTube, there's so many videos on how to cultivate motivation. I mean, if you just type in motivation, there's got to be like millions of videos of Tony Robbins speeches and Gary Vee speeches and speeches from all sorts of celebrities on I don't know, anything on how to get motivation. But the thing about motivation is that it's very fleeting. And so you can get motivation, but it doesn't last very long. So when you do get it, you get this quick little burst of energy and dedication and motivation to do the thing that you want, and then ultimately it fizzles out because motivation is very short-lived and is not something that is sustainable over time. I mean, I think just this video in itself is a grand example of that. Usually when I make videos, I like to be in the studio that I make that is outside of my home, but because of renovations, I wasn't able to do that. But I still needed to do that. I didn't have the confidence, or I didn't have the motivation to necessarily do the video at home here in my garage, but I did it anyway. And so why would I did that? It wasn't because of motivation, it was because of willpower. And that is ultimately what you need if you want to be able to start tracks and finish tracks. So I think a really good analogy for this is to think about, think about motivation as lighting off a firecracker. All right, it's loud, it's intense, but it doesn't last very long. All right, so you get this quick little bump and extreme energy and dedication, and then what happens? It's done. Lights out. Think of willpower as lighting a big Yankee candle. All right, so you light that candle. Yeah, it's not super intense, but it burns for hours and hours and hours. And that's what willpower is. Willpower is something that you have to cultivate because there's going to be times where you're not motivated to do something. And so the only thing that's going to get you to be able to do said thing, whether it's, I mean, this applies to anything, not just making tracks, but whether it's going to the gym, doing some side hustle that you want to do, motivation is only going to take you so far because there's only so many videos that you can watch because there's a diminishing returns. You know, the more motivational and videos such as that, the more you watch, the less effective they are. So if you can cultivate willpower, then it doesn't matter if you're motivated because you have a purpose on why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's where willpower comes from, is in order to cultivate it, you need to figure out why are you doing what you're doing. So if you're a producer, why are you making tracks? And this may seem silly because for a lot of people the answer is to well, maybe it's not. You know, it could differ depending on what you actually want to do. Maybe you want to make it on the Billboard Top 100. Maybe you want to get 100,000 Spotify listeners. The goal could depend, but you need to have a purpose. And then if you have a purpose, then that will fuel your willpower, because every time that you go to do something, if you don't have that motivation, you have that purpose and you have that willpower to carry you through. And so even you could have days where you're super motivated to do something, and that's awesome, that's fantastic. But there's going to be other times where you don't, and you're feeling down, and you feel like everything you do is not amounting to anything. You have the imposter syndrome where you're comparing yourself to everyone, and God, that's a whole nother video in and of itself where you shouldn't be doing that anyway. But all that can be going on and killing your motivation. So the only thing that's going to carry you through is willpower. And one of the best ways to cultivate that, like I said, is through finding your purpose. So I think that's a really good thing just to do is figure out what you need to do and write down, or at least tell yourself, why do you need to do this? Or rather, what is by doing that task, what is that going to ultimately lead you to being able to do? How is that going to help you to achieving your end goal, or at least your short-term or long-term goals. I mean, I don't think there's really an end goal for anyone, because ultimately, once you reach a goal, you're going to have another goal. But what's your purpose for finishing a track or starting a track? What's your vision? And I think if you have a really clear description and a really clear picture of what that looks like, then that's going to carry you through no matter how motivated you are. And that's what carries me through, is I think about, okay, I don't want to do, for example, if I don't want to do a Twitch live stream, or if I don't want to work out one day, I think about, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And then I tell myself that, and then ultimately that helps. Now, does it work every time? No. But it helps way more than if I were to never to do that. So I would urge you to try that. All right, try to cultivate that willpower, because motivation is only going to take you so far, and it's not going to take you very far, to be honest. So if you can cultivate that willpower, then you can really navigate any storm that comes your way. All right, so if you like this, then definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you are someone that you feel like you have good willpower, how do you cultivate that? What are some strategies that you use to get that willpower for you to be able to accomplish any sort of task that you want to do? And write that in the comments. I would love to hear it. All right, if you liked the video, like I said, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it and want to see more videos like this, then definitely hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.